Fridays with Phil. We're here.
Fridays with Phil.
Phil, I feel like we
Samurai
haven't done
Phil.
Fridays with Phil. I don't know. There was a couple weeks.
We haven't. We haven't done Fridays with Phil. Let's see. But we did it. We did do a really good podcast the week before.
Mike Adams.
Phenomenal.
Let me tell you, I love him.
Sweetheart of a guy.
He's
inspirational.
such a sweetheart.
And just like really down to earth. And, everything is on the sleeves. Everything's on the sleeves. There's nothing that's left behind. He is who you see is what you get. And that person is 24/7. So he's one of the guys that I met through Plaques and just really kind of connected to because he was such a good guy. And then, you find out his background and you find out that, he's raised by his mom and his aunt. He lived in Patterson. He lived in the projects and, didn't meet his dad till he's like 25 years old. And, for a kid to go through that kind of an experience where, where do you think your life is going to go at an early age and you're in the projects? I mean, some kids stay in the projects from one generation to the next generation, never get out because they never can find a viable avenue to lead them.
But they don't have the talent.
They got no vehicle.
You don't have the vehicle, or you don't have the person that's willing to help you get out of where you're going to try to put you on the straight and narrow path because there's so many other variables in between that you could take. You can take the quick money, or you can go to school.
Yeah.
You could take the gangs, or you go to school.
Listen,
you take crime.
That quick money is very appealing.
Well, fast money
when
doesn't
you see
last.
people it doesn't last. But to a kid who maybe the family's struggling, maybe they don't have food.
Well, listen,
quick money
if you don't have it,
very enticing.
The first thing you're going to do is if somebody's offering you something that you haven't had, you take it. Why? Because the thing that you want is you want to get out of the situation that you're already in. So you take it. Now, maybe later on you realize that taking that led you to do things that you regret later on in life, or they deny you of opportunities that you could have had because
but they don't have that emotional intelligence at young ages to understand that.
Well, it's the environment, though.
Yeah, it's
right?
Absolutely.
Think about it. I mean, my dad. Look at this. Okay, I'm going to turn off my phone.
Yeah, this is Phil's day.
We're not going to do this.
Oh, maybe we're going to do it.
No, we're not. We're going to turn off my phone.
Did you see the way he's looking on his phone?
I'll deal with that later. But, sometimes it's the environment that you grow up in. It really does dictate a lot about how your life is going to, the path that your life takes. Because I grew up in a two-parent household. So I had my mom, my dad. I had normal structure. I grew up in an environment where all of my friends and their friends grew up in a two-parent household. So that's normal. Like I didn't know what divorce is.
Right.
I wouldn't know what divorce is. I knew here's my mom, here's my dad. My dad's going to work. My mom is home with us. But I know my dad's coming home, and I know what my dad provides, and it's a stable environment. But when you grow up in an environment where you don't see your dad, or you haven't met your dad, or your dad doesn't have a job, it's hard. It's hard for you to even visualize what normalcy is like.
Well, that's normal. That's normal to you. He's just, I just thought he was such a great guy, and I really want to work with him around the holidays and food drives and stuff and do, what's that noise?
That's me, babe.
That's your.
That's me.
We just threw the phone out the podcast. That was Samurai Phil.
Okay.
But no, I really want to work with him because he does a lot, and we did a food drive here, I guess, two Thanksgivings, 2 Novembers ago.
That was COVID, so no.
Okay. Post-COVID,
we were
pre-COVID.
locked into our homes.
Yeah, but my clients are so generous, and they were donating. They were donating dog treats, dog food, regular. All this food, and Mike does that during the holidays. He says,
listen,
and
Mike,
I want to team up with him and do that.
Mike does that around the holidays.
He does backpacks.
I think Mike's biggest thing is, here's a guy that knows what it's like to have zero. Right? Grow up on government assistance, grow up not looking around and wanting. And for him to make it, he feels as though it's an obligation to go back and to try and prep these kids, get them ready, get them understanding that there's more to life than what you see on a day-to-day basis. There's more to life than what goes on behind the doors of your house. There's more to it, because some kids get caught up into a rut where they don't see that there's anything else except what is in front of them. There's like a brick wall, and you can't climb to see what's on the other side of that brick wall, because if you did, you have hope, you've had inspiration to get over that brick wall. But some kids see that there's like nothing on the other side. So what do? They try to thrive and imitate those that they feel are successful in the environment that they're in.
Right.
And you can't win. You can't win. As a kid, I didn't know what, gangs. Who knew what gangs were in Westfield? There are no gangs in Westfield. There's no really crime in Westfield. So, and you have a tendency to do what your friends do, your environment. If your friends go to college, guess what? You thrive to go to college too. Why?
Right.
You want to stay within that nucleus. You don't have friends that are thriving to be convicts, jailbirds. Nobody wears a badge of honor like, hey, going to jail was cool. No. So you stay out of that. The police are your friends in your environment in the suburbs. In the inner city, it's like it's us against them. And that's the mentality that you want to change. And Mike is doing a really good job of single-handedly trying to go back and change the mindset of these kids, and going back into the schools and just like, hey, you see a few kids that are troubled, go grab them.
Big Wit from the Rams?
Big Wit from the Rams.
I believe he's the lineman.
I don't know him.
Bald guy, big guy. He just retired after he just won the Super Bowl. And he tells a story. He won, I don't know if it was like an award ceremony for the Super Bowl, but he was up and he had to give a speech. And he gave a speech about how there was one game, this kid from the other sidelines from the opposing team was running over to him. And he's like, I don't know who this is. He's going, Big Wit, Big Wit. He's like, is that a coach's son? Is it someone that I met years ago? He's like, who is it? I've been in the league for so long. Kid comes over. He goes, Big Wit, my name's so-and-so. He goes, we haven't seen each other in 15, 20 years. He goes, you sat with me at the Boys and Girls Club and we talked about life. He goes, it's an unbelievable story. He goes, we talked about life for hours, and it was my dream to get to the NFL. 15 years later, they're playing in the same game together.
That's
crazy.
That's
that kid always remember
possible,
that
right?
from all those years.
Yeah.
He goes, that conversation changed my life.
Yeah.
But that's, it's just like,
people are good. People are good-hearted.
People are really good. And, it's like OJ. He grew up, and he had a brother, that OJ Anderson from the Giants, not OJ Simpson. So it's clear the air. I don't want anybody, any hate comments. But OJ had a brother, and his brother was a really good running back. His brother was a running back at Arkansas. And his brother's nickname, they called him Smoke Anderson. And I didn't know about his brother.
Really?
I didn't know about his brother at all. And one day we were at Bob Owens, I believe, the decathlon winner of the Olympics. He had a golf tournament out in Boca. And we went there, and me and OJ are hanging out. We're getting ready to go onto the putting green. And this guy hollers over, Anderson. OJ looks, he's like, yeah. He goes, you're pretty good, but you couldn't carry your brother's jock.
Really?
And I'm going, now, I never knew about your brother, but somebody's telling me as good as you were, you couldn't carry your brother's jock. And he's like, you know what? You're right. I couldn't. He goes, my brother was that guy. But his brother ended up dying in he had a swimming accident. And he said, but like OJ said, like when his brother passed, he felt as though all of his brother's energy and spirit went from his brother to him. And all of a sudden, he was this talented human being. And he said, but as a kid, he was big. So, all the coaches wanted him to play like linebacker, defense. Yeah. And he's like, I want to be a running back like my brother. So he said he would always walk hunched over so he would appear smaller to people. But, you're 6'1", 6'2", 218. You can't appear small.
No, you can't.
And he said, when he got to high school and, people start to notice your talent, right? They start to see that you're really good, you're talented, and all these schools are inviting him to come visit to see where you're going to end up playing college ball. He said everywhere he went, he would come home and say, I don't think I'm good enough. Like, I can't play with those guys. I just can't do it. And he didn't decide to go to Miami. He said it was his mom who decided that he was going to Miami because the coach came over and talked to her and said, listen, if he gets homesick, I'll drive him home. I'm in West Palm. We're only a little while down the road. I'll bring him back. And his mom's like, that's where you're going. And he didn't think he was good enough to start in Miami. And then two of the star number 1 and number 2 running backs got hurt. One was hurt and one was ineligible. They put him in.
And he shined.
And, he became that player that he was meant to be. And I mean, he had I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a Rookie of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, over 10,000 yards rushing, scored in both Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVP, and I think with all of his accomplishments, that's a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Did Mike Adams play against him?
No. OJ retired probably like 98, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
98.
And Mike went
Mike
in
was
03, 04.
probably, Mike was probably in the league like 03, 04.
I wanted to.
Plax was 04 too, right?
Yeah, I think Plax was in the
I
league.
think
that was the
we
Brady year.
we should have followed up with Plax on a podcast because of the debate you had with Mike Adams.
Oh
and
no,
Plax.
we'll definitely.
Well,
Bring that up.
I think
when I saw
next
Plax,
week we're going to try and get.
I was going to say to him, but then he disappeared like
Well,
into
actually,
thin
what
air.
we should do is take the podcast in the parking lot, and I'll be one ref, and we'll have them line up.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do this. We're going to bring. We'll bring Plax and Mike back. Like, that would be nice.
That would be great,
right,
but we
we'll try
can't
and
do it
bring-
in here because we'll get complaints, so we'll have to bring it outside somewhere.
Okay.
Complaints from who?
Um,
No, we can do it in here.
we can have debates.
She's really calling you, huh?
Oh, man, like, I don't know who, but you know what? It's the ping today. I mean, I don't know who, but we're going to let it go because we're on a podcast. And at the podcast, right now, this is what's important.
That's
Everything
what's
else,
important. We'll talk
you know
later,
what? We'll
Phil.
deal
Off
with
camera,
it.
we'll talk.
Exactly.
Because
we'll
that's a
deal
little
with it.
psycho.
But
So it's interesting because we started this podcast for weight loss, and now we're getting all these football players
We're
and
getting football
athletes
well,
on.
I don't know if you happened to watch. We're getting athletes.
We're getting
But
a bunch
listen,
of
it's
athletes.
pretty cool to me to be able to call Nikolai and say, Nick, did you see my last podcast and who it was? Yeah, Mom. I'm a little bit of a cool mom.
Yeah,
I've said
you
that
got a
before,
podcast.
right?
It's awesome.
well, I think that the big thing is, right, you get athletes, but I think you kind of
No,
want to you want to kind of cross. You want to be able to jump from one athlete to
Well,
entertainer,
Yeah.
whomever, everybody.
but I think athletes are important because I think they have a complete mentality that's different that I think a dieter can relate to. Their strength, their willpower, their
and like Mike said,
discipline.
90% of what you see, or 90% of what happens, you never see
Right.
until
Well,
that 10% on Sunday.
But that I translate that for dieters, right? For somebody who's dieting for their wedding or their kid's wedding,
What you
nobody
eat in private.
sees shows in public. But all that
That's
work
true.
that you do for that day, nobody sees. They only see you that day, but it pays off. That's the message. It pays off.
And I also think
I
that
like that connection.
Yeah.
the big thing is whether you're an athlete striving to get to where you're going, right? You can take your athleticism and translate that into college or professional sports. There's a truth to you as well as whether you're on a diet. You have to be true to yourself, and because if you can't be true to yourself and face the things that you need to do to get there, you'll never get there because
That's
you'll
true,
always
Phil.
have a I want to call it an imaginary
Barrier.
aspiration to get somewhere because you don't want to face the truths that you need to get there. Like, okay, Mike had to be disciplined. You hear him talk about, all of the things that he had to do to get his body ready for Sunday, right? And then we'll go and we'll talk to somebody and says, okay, I want to go on a diet and I want to lose 20 pounds by the next 3 months because I want to go to this wedding and I want to look great. And then, into that 3-month period, they're not doing the things. They're not being honest enough to themselves to do what they need to do. They don't have that discipline, right?
That's
to
why
get
coaching
to where they're
matters.
going. And that's why, all these athletes, they do have somebody that mentors them, that coaches them, that teaches them. That, you know
Trainers.
what? These are the things that we have to do. Whether you want to do them or you don't want to do them, these are the things that are necessary. So
Yeah.
you have to face your truths.
And you have to
Head
get
on.
into the psyche of it and why you're not doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's more important than sometimes why you're doing
if
it.
you know that your child, this is the most special day in your child's life, their wedding, and you really just say, this is my goal because I want to look great for my child, and that's your why. Then guess what? You have to face what you really need to do to get there.
Right.
Because saying it is easy.
Yeah, because if you don't face it, losing weight is easy. If you don't face it, you're going to gain it right back.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with somebody last night, and they were telling me about that they were doing some type of a diet, and then they were stopping that diet because they didn't think it really worked, but they were going to go back to weight. They were going to go back to Weight Watchers, and the only reason they were going back to Weight Watchers was because there's a number that you diet by numbers.
Yeah, you get points.
Right, points. And I said, well, think about it. It doesn't make a difference whether you're dieting by numbers or you're sticking to the program. If you're cheating, right, you're losing because you're gaining back what you took off if I cheat. Just like if I know I can't drink. If I can't drink and I can't eat cakes and I can't have all the sweet things that I like and drink, if I know that if I do those things, I gain everything back. What's the sense of me going on the diet to begin with? You have to be on a diet, and you have to be disciplined enough to stay on that diet, stay the course. If you stay the course, you'll see the results, right?
100%. It's the
It's
same.
like-
Yeah, that's
it's
why
like
I think
school.
the athletes are a great comparison.
Oh, listen, it's great, but it's like school, right? You start off everybody starts off in kindergarten. What's the goal as a kid? You just want to get to 12th grade. You want to get to 12th grade, right? Once you get to 12th grade or you get to 11th grade, then you start to have other aspirations and say, man, maybe I want to go to college. But what was your goal at 5? I want to get out of school. I want to, I want to go here. I want to be done with school. You're in 6th grade. You go, when I get to 12th grade, I'm done. I don't have to do this anymore. And then you start to evolve a little bit more. You start to learn a bit more, and you go, hey, I want to take it to the next level. That's the same thing. So I think the athletes bring something to the table when they come and they share their stories, and they show you that, they didn't get there by themselves.
No.
Like Mike had his mom to inspire him. He had his brothers and his sister to inspire him. And he had the coach that when he quit, came to his house and say,
Yeah.
you know what, you're
John
not
Arado.
You're not going to quit. So it takes a village to raise a kid. And it takes communities to raise kids because, anybody can stray. And that's what the heartwarming stories that I like to hear from these athletes, because a lot of them come from broken
Backgrounds. And at least
And,
someone stepped in and picked them up. Imagine if John Arado doesn't go down Godwin Avenue. What happens then?
Yeah, but
then
no,
where's Mike
no,
at?
here-
Exactly. And then same thing with Strahan.
Yeah, but-
His dad told him to play football.
Yeah, exactly.
What if he never said, play football? Then there would be no Michael Strahan.
Forget that.
Exactly.
Look on the other opposite side of that. How many other Mike Adams are there that are passed up that never
my
got
God.
the coach never came
so
to their
many.
house.
Listen,
many.
OJ always
That's
used to tell
sad
me.
to me.
so many.
When you look at those kids, who was the next Einstein?
So
Who was
many.
the next Mike Adams?
But think about this. OJ used to always tell
Sad.
me, he said, you know what? His cousin was a better football player than he was. He said, my cousin was better. He said, but the problem was he had too many outside interferences. He had, problems with the law. He had problems with, getting involved in things he shouldn't be involved in. So he never got the opportunity because even though he had a great talent, no one was willing to risk their reputation to bring them to a school. Because guess what? If I recruit you and you bring your problems, your off the field problems to the school,
That was the you.
It's a reflection on me. And
What
then
was the you?
That was the you.
Back in
Did
the
you
eight-
see that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you got to
It was
remember.
the Wild West.
Yeah,
But
but
you
Jimmy
gotta remember-
Johnson said
But-
it's
but-
open. Just make sure you come to practice. And
Correct.
Right, but before that, like one of the players on an interview, he said, "What did they think we were going to be like?" We were
Yeah, but you
we
gotta
were kids that
remember.
got into trouble. He goes, they plucked us out.
For
What
the
did he say?
view
He goes,
for the people watching, we're talking about Catholics versus convicts back in the day. It was Miami, the U versus Notre Dame. That was the whole
Right,
let
but
me
you
tell you,
think
after
about
I
it.
was at the show,
30 for 30. Yeah.
30 for 30. After
Yeah.
I watched that, I was the biggest U fan.
But you got to
Loved
remember
him.
the U. Like, I think OJ's coach was Coach Snellenberger when he was at the U, right? But OJ's group, they're the ones that made it popular to want to go to the U.
Yeah.
And then it just evolved because guess what? You have so many talented kids from Florida. So many talented kids. And when it became cool and you had Uncle Luke
Yeah.
from the Two Live crew and he was sponsoring. So when you had all of this sitting around you, you're going, man, we don't have to leave home. We have everything right in our backyard. Why would you go to Oklahoma? Why go to UCLA? Why
Yeah.
go to
Oh yeah,
Notre Dame?
But yeah,
You're going to go to party, and the kids at the university were bigger stars than the actual
that's
football
than
players.
Miami.
You know,
the
hey,
Dolphins.
Well, that's what he said. He
there
goes,
was-
"What
there
did
was
you
guys-
expect? We had everything at our feet." He said, "We were kids that were troubled and got into trouble. We had no really supervision. We're
Well, you
in
didn't have the
clubs.
supervision because it was
Dolphins
talent.
players were going up to the door and going up to the U players to get in.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love them.
but you had talent.
That's
You know what
crazy.
it was? It was talent.
Such
It's
talent.
raw talent. And when you have raw talent and you see, what do colleges look for? They need to get on the map. So if we can bring a national championship to the university, does it really make a difference how you get it there?
The team has to gel.
SMU.
No,
Well,
but it was
what-
it was the Wild West. They were
Yeah,
getting
but-
their players were
but
getting
before-
arrested.
But the team
They were-
gelled with that environment.
Yeah, but alumni was in an
You
uproar.
could tell when a
you
team
had
clicks.
kids.
You could watch a game and go, this team just works.
Listen,
I think part of it. That's part of it. You have to. That's why team building. That's what I don't even
That's like
understand.
VT.
you look at
VT, you don't see,
though.
it doesn't click. Their offense the past couple, it hasn't like clicked.
Well,
You
that
see,
comes
like,
from the
other,
top, but you're gonna see. I think
No,
you're
that
gonna
comes
see
from the
that
players.
change.
That comes from
yeah,
the players.
But
Definitely.
they have the big football.
Because again, look at Jim. I
Sorry.
don't mean to cut you off, but look at Jimmy. Jimmy says just show up on time. He coached, but like it was.
But I think when they did, especially at VT, they had a building for the football players for housing.
Yeah.
If I were the coach, I would insist my players live together because that's what I think your bonding is,
But
and
the-
your
here-
team
here-
building,
I think
and your
here's the big thing.
camaraderie.
when you have alphas, all alphas.
Yeah.
Everybody on the U was an alpha.
Yeah.
There were no followers. Everybody's an alpha.
And they didn't have a coach
And
strong enough
guess
to
what?
keep them on the right track.
So no, they had a coach.
Well, they were going through coach after coach.
They had
kept
Jimmy
bringing in-
Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson came in from Nebraska.
Yeah,
Right?
But
they had Jimmy
before,
Johnson.
before Jimmy, wasn't it like coaches couldn't control the
But
team?
once Jimmy went in,
Yeah,
that's
but-
that's
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
when
yeah,
the
yeah.
convicts
you gotta
started.
remember this. When you have a bunch of alphas, it takes an alpha
to
to
right.
control alphas.
Yeah, you need.
So
it.
you know what you do? You sit back and say, fellas, win. You win,
Al
I'll
Davis.
take care of everything else. Guess what? If I know that the only thing I got to do is go out there and play my ass off and my coach has got my back, well, we all gel. Why? Because we're all doing something that we shouldn't be doing. But we know that, hey, coaches, don't worry about it. We get in trouble, coach is going to go
The
pick us up.
mindset is
Phil,
alignment.
Phil, I used to say that all the time in high school, right? I used to hate when things weren't fair and you wouldn't see the coach fight with the refs. The players have to know you have their back. You don't have to be disrespectful, but you at least have to question things because if
Yeah.
the kids know that you have their back, they'll go run through a wall for you.
And that's what the U had.
I
They had
couldn't stand a coach who just sat back because the kids don't.
But
the
you gotta
kids would look
remember.
at them for the direction.
But you
or
gotta
like,
You
remember.
see it in
"What's up,
baseball
coach?"
all the time with the manager. If the manager doesn't agree with something, or if like a batter's in the
But I love
in the
that.
batter's
And the
box and they're
players
calling
love
ball.
that.
Yeah, of course.
But
yeah.
you also have to
But
remember.
we had coaches in high school that would just be mows. No, I
we're
don't
also
wanna play
comparing
fair.
high school stuff to professional. So
But
it's,
but
It's
what
all-
I'm saying
it's all the
is
same.
you
No,
have
it's
to
not.
you have to look at
Sure it
it
is.
from the.
what's all the same?
It's the way you coach and a coach showing
It's
that
not
they
the
have
same.
your back.
It can't be the same.
Phil was just saying.
What?
Well, what
In
I'm saying is
college.
in college, here's the difference: professional and in college, College, your coach is a god. Your coach is a god.
On campus to
You
everybody.
know why?
A football coach.
He controls your scholarship. He controls everything about you. So he is a god.
In
So,
high school.
In high school. In the pros are making more than the coaches.
Wait, in high school or college?
College.
Yeah, in college.
College.
Okay.
A coach is a god.
Yeah.
Why? Because he controls
Yeah.
you.
High school is too.
No.
Look at Coach Toll.
No,
He was a
because you're-
god.
This is what I'm saying. This is what we're comparing apples and oranges. You're taking a Coach Toll, a New Jersey legend, comparing to like other high schools. You can't do that.
A coach in high school,
you
right?
You can't take Boot in high school and Don Bosco and say that the coaches are the same.
A coach in high school, just say like your regular Parsippany, Boonton, Montville, just a regular high school coach. He's got limitations, right? Now you're at a school, Don Bosco, nationally recognized because you produce, but you recruit.
Yeah.
You're a recruiting school. Your coach is there, and his salary is based on the kids he can get to come to your facility, and the recognition that you get putting these kids from your facility to this university, that university, and success stories. So that coach at Don Bosco, he's got a lot more leeway than the coach at Parsippany,
Yeah.
Verona, Fairfield, Montville. They only have, that may be the English teacher who's a coach.
Yeah.
Campanelli's.
The coach at Don Bosco, guess what? Oh, his job is to coach.
And their staff has depth. You're talking
Yeah.
about 20 coaches on staff.
No, I'm just talking about how the kids look up to them. I think kids look up to their high school football coaches.
But you
Of
got
course
to
they do.
remember your high school coaches, they have their favorites, right? Your favorites. Some kids are going to get the coach's attention, and the coach is going to fight tooth and nail for that kid because that's his favorite. And there are going to be other kids that the coach, not my favorite cup of tea. I'm not going to fight for him as much. I mean, listen, I went through high school with my kids playing, sports, and I watch it. And you sit back and you watch, okay, this is the coach's favorite.
Yeah. Oh,
And I go like
100%,
this,
but film doesn't
don't
lie.
worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry, because film doesn't lie. There was one recruiter who said that he doesn't just talk to the head coach, and the reason being is because the head coach and the player may not have gotten along, or there may be things like that. He'll talk to other coaches, teachers,
Yeah, I mean,
other
you
people.
can't, but that's the whole thing. Like when
Look at
your
Freddie Hill.
brother went to Don Bosco, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's recruited.
Yes.
They were
He
meeting in
wasn't.
diners.
He wasn't. He wasn't a kid that was just going through junior high school and just passing on to the next to high school and that coach in that system. No, somebody sent somebody out to watch him at a younger age, see how he's developing, see is this kid fit in? Does this kid have what it takes to go to this program? He's recruited. You do have kids that may fit the criteria, right? But they're not being recruited. And if they are being recruited, maybe they can't, their circumstances don't allow them to make a Jabril Peppers. Guess what? Phenomenal talent from New Jersey, right?
PC.
He called his own shots, though. He's a kid that called his own shots.
A
He
kid like that's
dictated.
very seldom, though.
Right, but he dictated where he
Jalen
wanted
Berger.
to go.
He's not a. No. I mean, Peppers was in a league of his own.
Peppers was
I
one
like
of
to
those
see some of his
guys
high school film.
that
Peppers?
was one of those guys that he could have been a track star.
Yeah,
I mean, this kid was,
legit.
he was the real deal. Just the real deal.
Where is he now?
He just got traded.
To.
Where did he go?
Safety for the Giants.
Where did he go? I want to say he went out west somewhere. But I know he got traded from the Giants somewhere else. But you know what? I don't know that he's as great as a cornerback as he was an offensive player. And I understand why you want to be a cornerback in this league because, like Mike was saying, if you don't produce immediately, you normally don't stay around as an offensive player. But if you're a defensive player and you show signs of potential, you have a tendency where they say, hey, you know what, we just need to bring him along slow. So as a cornerback, he stayed in the league. If you were a running back,
He's gone.
How old is he now?
Jabril's
My age?
yeah.
No. Maybe 2 years older.
Oh, really? I thought he was much older.
So I watched him at PC. I think they played Bosco or Bergen. Took one back for like a 70-yard run, and he was running so fast that he pulled like the Bo Jackson. Remember when Bo ran through the tunnel? He jumped over the fence behind the end zone, and he was going so quick he jumped over the second fence.
Oh, listen, kid was a phenom.
I said, Purim is Catholic. I say it all the time. Home of the pepper. They should have a pepper.
My mom, she was the president of the Fifth Downers.
No, I was
the
a
touchdown
VP
club.
of the touchdown club.
But she was
Bosco.
VP because she was doing some corporate raiding over there. So she didn't want the head position. She wanted the second in position. So she infiltrated the whole. So at Bosco, you have these parties that go on before the game. So she was VP and she ran the whole entire thing. But it became like organized crime, so to speak.
No.
With you and Auntie Gwen. You guys controlled.
No, all we wanted to do was things right. And
the marketing, the donations and whatnot. I think
Right.
they were cutting a little of the donations to their end a little too much. But anyway.
What does that mean?
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, that is a joke. God forbid.
I'm joking. That was a complete joke. But then when Nikolai moved to PC, she wanted the control of the marketing. So she wanted to make the mascot the home of the pepper. She wanted a pepper running out there.
Not even or no, forget that because they had their. You have to play to those strengths, right? So all you need around the food trucks is a pepper. And say the home of the pepper. They could take it any way they want. It's Jabil Pepper. Why wouldn't you market that?
Because here's the thing that happens.
They said, "How about this person, that person?" So do something for them too. Home of the pepper.
Yeah, but here's the
You
thing.
have a
that
failing
happens, right?
program right now.
You have.
They're not going to have one.
They won't do it. They won't. I mean, listen. Sports it's a great vehicle, and I tell every kid. Like my friend's son, Michael Dogby, he was in I think 2019. He was the last pick in the draft. He went to the Arizona Cardinals, and when Michael was in high school, he played with my son. And I at 11th grade, I'm talking to him one day, and I said, Mike, your best days are not Fridays and Saturdays. Your best days are Sundays. I said, you're special. You're a special talent, but you can't see it. Why? Because you're the person doing it. And it seems everything that you do just seems average, normal, because it's you. You don't see what everybody else sees. And he's like, I appreciate the compliments, but I don't think that, that I'm that talented. And I said, no, trust me. You are talented enough to play on Sundays. Just go in and work hard. He went to Temple. And I would call him, and I know his mom. I would say, Mike, he's hurt. Keep doing what you're doing. You're on the radar of several teams. But you have to keep believing that you're good enough to make it. And, when he got drafted, I sent him a text, and he sent me a text back, and he said, I thank you for believing in me. And I said, you know what? It's not me believing in you. You had the talent all the time. Mm-hmm. It was there. I said, but normally special people don't see how special they are. Others notice. Because you're the gentle giant. You're 6 foot. He was 6'3", 255 pounds. As a junior, just running over people, right? And when he got to Temple, and Michael's probably like close to 300 pounds now. But he was special, and he was a gentle giant, very kind, respectful. He was one of those kids that just keep working hard. It's there. You have to make these kids almost. Sometimes you got to brainwash them to believe them that they're as good as
manipulation.
advertised.
People think manipulation is bad, and
gentle
it's not.
Giant, and you meet Mike Adams plaques, right? They're just Nikolai.
The funniest
this kid.
I'm just go on.
Will, Caden, they're all gentle giants.
But they got dog in them. That's the difference.
They have dog, but
they
they're
got dog
really,
in them.
They're really, really gentle giants. I'll never forget. Bosco was playing down in Washington, and we had a kid on the team who, he was massive. Sweetest kid you'll ever meet. He wasn't real. He did his job, believe me, but he wasn't like a kid who was going to come off the field angry and pissed. He's just too good. I don't want to say his name.
Oh.
He was going crazy that game. So Libby says to him, what happened to you? What today? You were amazing. Don't let them talk about my mama. You let them talk about your mama, they're not talking about my mama. And that set this kid off. But this kid was the biggest gentle giant you ever want to meet.
Right, but all those general judges,
All of them.
you
Mike
see these
Adams, he
kids-
comes in, he's soft spoken.
Right, but guess what?
Don't go
Guess
mess
what?
with them.
Mike got dog in him. I
Yeah.
mean, listen.
That's all.
Mike's retired now. Mike's living life now.
Every player, every athlete that I encountered, they all got that little bit of dog in them. Where
They
you
have
sit back
to.
and you go, okay, like you're like, listen.
But it's almost like like they're actors. Not that they're acting that, but they're
Well,
just
they have
so
to be
different
able-
on
they-
the field,
but
and they
think
come
about
up
it.
the
Turns
field.
on and turns off.
They
Yeah,
have
they're
to
just
be.
so
What
sweet.
happened a couple years ago with Richard Sherman?
Yeah.
There was not the press guy. The girls, the broadcasters run up after the game and they start interviewing people.
Right.
And they had a Crabtree on them.
Yeah.
And it was a shutdown defense the whole entire game. So you're interviewing a guy after he just came out of war and he went off on Crabtree. And Richard Sherman got this bad. He's too. What did they say? They're too aggressive. Why would you go
Yeah.
after him like that? Like in you're interviewing the
You
guy.
got to
rare-
get them decompress
he
a little
just
bit.
finished a football game 5 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Let the
yeah,
guy
yeah.
breathe for a second.
Well, but think about this. That's the environment you grew up in.
True.
It's the environment you grew up in.
It's survival.
You cannot listen. You can take the animal out of the cage, right, and let him back into the jungle, right?
Yeah.
You can put him back in that cage, and take him away from the jungle for a week, a month, a year. Take him back out, let him loose. Guess what? He adapts to the environment that he came from. Now he can adjust and live in that cage as well, but you let him out, and then it becomes predator and prey. And which
also-
one are you? If you grow up in an environment
Well, that
like
was
that,
my point about the youth. That's what the
you
kid said.
are
What
a
did you think was going to
predator.
happen?
You're
Yeah.
a predator.
You're also fighting for that spot too.
Right.
That spot isn't always guaranteed. If you get hurt, you don't get paid anymore.
See, maybe
So you
because
better
I'm
produce.
And
because
yeah,
I'm the
I mean-
mother. Like I don't see Nikolai like that at all. But
But you
Jose
gotta
goes,
remember-
"Oh, he talks crap.
Yeah, he
But you
does
gotta remember,
chirp.
He's a chirper."
your son has a persona about him on the field, right? And he's got a persona about him off the field. Because on the field, things get done to you, things get said to you that only you are privy to, and maybe the ref or the player next to you.
That's
But
why he
guess
asked
what?
Mike that.
He's going to say something may say something about your mother, somebody may say something about your sister, your girlfriend, anything to get in your head. So, yeah, quiet as a mouse off the field.
He's like a cat. He hides from attention.
And then
Right.
you're going to
He
find
so
that,
much
you know,
hides from it.
you'll find a point where he's that aggressive animal that, hey, if you get in my way, I can't guarantee you there's going to be nice.
there was a guy
There's
he
a saying.
was-
I don't mean to cut you off, but there's a saying. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
Well, I remember he played against a kid in high school who had all these offers, this big time, and Nikolai flattened him out. And I saw him over the kid, and I could obviously see he's talking. So I asked Jose, and Nikolai was saying, "Where are you going? Where are you going? Where do you think you're going to college?" Like he was over him saying shit. I was like, "Not Nikolai."
But
And
that's
Jose
but
goes,
guess
"Yeah,
what?
Nikolai." I was like,
That's every kid.
because he said he was at the line chirping. He
everybody
was
does
going to
that.
demolish him and this and that. Yeah.
And that's what they all do. Listen,
I guess.
war.
there's not a player
war.
that you can talk
I
to
know.
that will say somebody doesn't say some shit. I don't care if what you're playing. Listen, I play golf with Rodney Hampton. I think he's my favorite person to play golf with when it's just relaxed. He might shoot 105, right? But you're going to have a great time. He's not going to take it overly serious, but he's going to chirp. Oh, he's going to let you know there's water over there. Oh, he's going to let you know you got a 6-foot putt. Oh.
That's what makes it fun too.
He's
Yeah,
he's going to chirp. And you know what? Like he always says, you do what you got to do. He said when he was in high school, and you know his coach told one of the kids, if you ain't cheating, you're not trying. Because if you cheat and we don't get caught and we score, hell, I'm gonna pat you on your back. Now, if you cheat and you get caught, I'm gonna holler at you. But
Yeah.
if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And not to say that you should cheat, but there's not a professional athlete that does not try to gain an advantage at some point where I might be tugging on you here. Yeah, I know I'm cheating.
Yeah.
But guess what? Every play
Yeah.
He does that
on the field is somebody cheating.
Good. That's a good point. Nikolai plays center, and he always, if you notice, he always puts the ball up like 5 inches, 2 to 5
Always.
inches, no more than that. But he's always moving it up. He's always inching it up, always.
Always.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's the nature of
the beast.
of
That's
the
just
beast.
what it is.
And guess what? All you hope for is that they go to school and they get a great education. I mean you hope that foundation of education is number one, and it's a staple for every kid that's on the team.
And they have fun.
And they have a good time, and they build relationships that'll last a lifetime. And you also hope that they each get an opportunity to at least try for that next level. I mean, listen, you can be a walk-on, you can be, undrafted, but you just want to at least give yourself that, I gave it a shot. Whether I fail or I succeed, I gave it a shot. And I think every kid that's on that team, that's all they want. They just, listen, that's a
Just a
dream.
chance.
That's a dream. And I think that, some people say this guy's too small. I look at Bruce Harper, right? And Bruce is smaller than me. Bruce is maybe 5'7". And I'm saying he went to, I think, Kutztown College.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
this guy played in the NFL. And, I mean, I'm thinking maybe he's like 165, 5'7". Guess what? Who would have thought that he would have played as many years in the NFL as he did?
What about James Harrison?
James Harrison.
Same
How
thing.
about Phil McConkey? All these guys that, like, you look at them, if you met Phil McConkey on the streets, there's no way in the world you'd say, this guy played in the Super Bowl.
Wasn't there a guy in the Patriots who's little? I think he was a receiver.
Edelman?
Edelman. And then there's Cole Beasley. There are a lot of little guys
Beasley's
that,
good.
that you sit back and you go, he didn't play football. Who was the running back from, what was that running back? He retired. Oh, God.
Recently?
Last 10 years. He's a very small running back. James Drew.
I'm thinking of who's
Drew.
the Saints running back right now? Kamara. Kamara's not big, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about Drew. He's very small. He's an analyst now. But if you saw him, Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yeah.
If you saw him, you'd say, "Oh, football player."
Yeah.
Where? Flag football? Touch football?
Sometimes I feel like the size always mattered with lower level schools, or they verbalized it more.
No.
They verbalized it more.
No, you're not going to Bama if you're under a certain size.
No,
You're not going to.
No, but my point is that, like the Yale coach who's no longer there, he used to come into Bosco and he'd be like, "I'm not looking at an O lineman under 6'4". Well, you lost every season.
Yeah, but your
record was crap. Maybe you should start.
Yeah, but see,
they may think that, but they'll never come in and verbalize that. They looked at the kid. You never heard that. VT never said that, not once.
But here's the thing: the NFL is based on size for certain positions.
Yeah,
it's like a
wingspan.
quarterback,
Oh, 100%.
right? You look at quarterbacks. You could be a listen. Russell Wilson, great quarterback, right?
Is he big?
Russell Wilson. No, he's not even 6. Maybe I'm going to say he's 5'10".
Okay.
But because the way that they measure you based at the camp, you're always like an inch or an inch and a half taller than you really are.
Right.
So I'm going to say maybe he's 5'10". Give him 5'11" on a good day. We're in shoes.
Heel to heel, toes up.
Yeah. So maybe he's 5'11". But when he came out of where did he go, to Nebraska?
I don't remember.
I think he was at NC State. I'm pretty sure. No, he finished up at Wisconsin.
I'll look it up right now.
So when he came out of college, the quarterback, the prototypical quarterback, was Andrew Luck, coming out of I think Andrew Luck went to Stanford, right? But Andrew Luck was this 6'3" or 6'4", 220-pound. This is the ideal quarterback. Great arm, but Russell Wilson's stats were equal or better than Andrew Luck. Now, Andrew Luck was the first pick in the draft. Russell Wilson, I think he was a second round pick, But watching Russell Wilson play, I'm sitting there and I'm going, this kid is going to be good. He doesn't meet the criteria, but if he were 6'2", 6'3", he'd have been the first pick in the draft. But because he didn't meet that 6 foot,
Yeah.
Third
NFL
round.
quarterbacks, they want him. They want to be like 6'3" to 6'5". Look
Listen,
at all of them.
Certain size of the hand. all
Yeah.
that.
Well, I could see that, but when you're talking height, no one's going to tell me this much matters.
Like when
It does.
It,
When-
it
when-
matters me, but if a kid 2 inches smaller has the same strength, this
No,
doesn't matter.
it because when you're looking at analytics, right? You're basing everything off of this is the ideal. Look at James Harrison, right? A monster, beast.
Not tall though.
Right, but why wasn't he first round draft material? Size.
height.
So all of these coaches that looked at size, they looked at ability, they looked at everything that goes into picking a player. They all pushed him to the side.
Yeah, but James Harrison's
Somebody
a bad
gave-
example for that.
No, somebody gave him a chance.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, James Harrison, somebody
Edelman.
took a chance on him. Pittsburgh took a chance on him
Yeah.
and said, you know what? We think that he's good enough, even though he doesn't fit the prototypical size.
And they were right.
And they were right. So there's always going to be a quarterback. You know, like when you sit back and you had like a Jamarcus Russell. Here's a guy 6'4", right? The kid from Florida, Emmanuel, the quarterback that didn't last long in the league. He was like 6'4", 6'5". The quarterbacks that have been drafted over the last, say, 5 to 7 years. Take a look at all of these guys and look at the ones that have succeeded. Like, you're sitting back going, like, not everybody is 6'3", 6'4". The Mannings, Eli's what, 6'4", 6'5"? Peyton, 6'4", 6'5". Phil Simms, 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Go look at the quarterback that they just took for the Jets. Undersized.
Jets,
Is he
of all
what,
people,
six?
should
Is he
follow.
what, 6'1", maybe?
Who they pick up?
The kid from BYU last
Then
year.
Kenny Pickett went to Steelers last night.
I
right?
would think.
And guess what? Plaque said that Pickett would be the first quarterback taken because he's the best ready to play quarterback in the league. Now, the kid from Cincinnati, I don't know where he went at all. But
This may be a ridiculous question,
Go.
but you would also think that you needed a taller quarterback to see over the 6'5" lineman,
Yeah.
well, guess what?
Yeah.
right? I mean, like
Fred-
if you're
Fred-
dropping back.
Doug Flutie. How big was Doug Flutie? Was small. It's, you know what it is?
Look
I
at
guess
Rodgers.
but you're running patterns, though. Really, are you really? Do you really need to see?
No, you do. I mean,
To a point.
here's
to,
the
to a
point.
point, to an extent.
Because
then
say
you have
you're
Aaron
s-
Rodgers and you have some other guys that are just,
Like Aaron Rodgers is what, 6'4"?
No, I don't think so.
Aaron Rodgers is a big guy. He's not
he?
small.
Oh, he
He's not
looks small.
Wait, let's look it up.
He looks small.
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, he
No, he's
does.
not small.
Especially lately too. He's real thin and
He's not small.
long hair and ponytail.
And,
That's
but
Aaron
what I'm
Rodgers.
saying is, when you're a small quarterback, right, and you have guys that have their arms out and up, you have to be able to get the ball up and over. So your peaks and your points where you're throwing, that's important because
Oh, yeah.
you can drop back further so that you can see what's going on, but it is tougher
But
for
listen,
a small quarterback.
here's my
succeed.
message though, especially if kids are listening to this. I've gone through the process a little bit, and I can say
6'2".
he's 6'2".
Rodgers.
I can say that if kids should never give up because they hear about heights or this. There were schools that were not even close to VT that wouldn't even give Nikolai an offer.
Yeah, can we?
No, but I'm talking about in general. Like kids should never give up.
But listen,
I
what's your
really-
job? What's your job as a student athlete? What's your job? Your job is just to go out there, bust your ass, do the best that you can do, and you hope that somebody says, "I want to give him a shot."
Give him a shot.
Right?
Look at
Just
the
wanna
quarterback
give him a
from
shot.
the Giants. He was a walk-on at Duke.
Who? Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes.
I mean, listen.
I mean, he may not be-
Listen, Danny Dimes. Listen, he's gonna.
Is he?
He's
why
going
are
to
we calling him
fulfill
Danny
his
Dimes?
contract. Okay, that's what he's going to do.
What's
he's
his
going to
name?
fulfill
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, but he's going to fulfill his contract because the Giants cannot afford to take another quarterback.
So in other words, they gave him so much money.
Well, it's a first round draft choice, right? there's a salary cap. So like your first 5 years is guaranteed because you have 5 years, and then your fifth year is your optional. They can either pick it up after your fifth year or not. So that pay scale. So Daniel Jones's contract is probably worth, his rookie contract is probably worth 32, 33, 34 million dollars, right?
That they have to pay no matter what.
That they're going to pay him, yeah, because he's a first round draft choice. So you're guaranteed that money, and then you have a fifth year option. So either you pick up his option after year 5, or you just pay him and get rid of him. Like Saquon, this is his fifth year, going into his fifth year. So the Giants are either going to do one or two things. They're going to say, hey, Saquon, we're going to let you play the year out, see if you're healthy and you're productive, and then we'll offer you a contract after that. Or we're going to release you. But we don't have to pay you any more money or offer you a contract because you haven't been healthy over the last 4 years. So your fifth year is an option. But Saquon's contract, he's made $32 million.
So you're saying that the Giants can't get another quarterback because they can't afford it?
Yeah, I mean,
they just got what's his name?
Yeah, but they can't afford not to because
what I'm saying is that you're not going to draft another quarterback first round unless you trade the quarterback you have, because you don't want to keep that money. You still have a cap, so you don't want to keep. If I take Kenny Pickett, first round. I mean, he was probably, I don't know if he was a first round draft choice last night or if he was
but
second
what does
round.
the franchise lose if you're losing?
You can't.
They have to lose money.
You cannot continue to get a first round quarterback, give him $30 million, because that money is on the cap. So you only have X amount of money you can spend for the team for the year. But if I take Daniel Jones and I get rid of him, cut him, say, oh, he didn't pan out, I cut him. Well, I still owe him the money, right? Now, if I bring somebody else in, I got to pay them also. So who do I get rid of?
Who determines
Kenny Pickett, first round?
Who determines who's the first round or second round
Worst
or
team
third round?
Well, you're going to first round. It's like, who's the worst team in the league, right? They get to pick first.
And that's why the year.
Who determines if a kid is in the first round, second round, third round?
Your scouts, the coaching scouts, the coach. People go around and they scout you, and they say, okay, like this guy is projected maybe number 1. This guy's projected at number 2. Like last night, Hitchinson went number 1, right, to Detroit. So here's this kid from Michigan, right? But then you also had the kid from Georgia, the defensive guy from Georgia.
Yeah.
Right?
They were all going crazy last night. I was watching their video.
Yeah, so you sit back and go, so somebody projected, all of the analysts.
And they all get 5-year contracts if you're number 1?
Well, your first round draft choices, you'll always get, your money, got guaranteed money. Second round draft choice, you don't have as much guaranteed money. So you may have a 2-year contract. You might have a 3-year contract.
Can
Things
somebody
scale
negotiate
down.
that, scale it down?
It's scaled down based on where you're picked in the draft.
Gotcha.
But all these kids that are, like if you picked a quarterback and he was a bust, right? He's a bust. Like, what's the quarterback that the Buffalo Bills took? Manuel from Florida. I think he was from Florida. He's a bust, right? I don't even think he's in the league anymore. But he was a first-round draft choice based on he was 6'5". Like, look, Trevor Lawrence, perfect example.
Same thing. I was going to say him.
First-round draft choice. The kid's got probably a $36 million deal for his first contract. He's got endorsements and everything else. So he's probably maybe making more money in endorsements than he's actually making per year playing football. But how about if he's a bust? If he's a bust and they realize it after this year, and they go and draft another quarterback first round next year, well, you still got to pay him the remaining 3 years on his deal.
Listen, just like who's the baseball player who wants more money or more years?
Aaron Judge?
Yeah, I mean.
Or who?
Aaron Judge, maybe.
Yeah, but
he's getting older. Why would anybody?
Because baseball players don't get different. Baseball players. Aaron Judge didn't get offered a contract or wasn't eligible to negotiate for a contract till he was like 26 years old. So it's not like when baseball's like you got to go through.
But he wants something like a 9-year contract or something, right? It's something I don't remember. Whatever they were saying.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't give it to him.
How much time Does he have? How many baseball players go through minor, double A, triple A,
Yeah, but he
never
thinks-
get a cup of tea? But then when you get there, you're not eligible to get to. Like Aaron Judge wasn't eligible. Aaron Judge was making like $400,000 a year, like 3 years ago. He was leading the league in home runs. He's making like $400,000 or $500,000 a year. How about if he gets hurt?
Well, his contract. Well, he doesn't want the contract, but the problem is suppose he gets hurt. Now he's worth nothing. Take the 5 years or 6 years.
So
You
somebody will
wanna
give
put
it
it-
to him. So listen, they gave it to Albert Pujols. He was old and he got like $200 million.
That's crazy to
They'll
me.
give it to him. They'll give it to you because Aaron Judge is a talent, right? Who is the face of the Yankees?
And the Bronx want heavy
Yeah,
hitters.
but see, for me, looking as an outside looker in and not really just looking at his age, he can get hurt, and what he wants doesn't make any sense to me.
Baseball players probably play longer, right? And plus, what? Baseball players' money is guaranteed.
Yeah, it's a different
I remember talking
kind
to
of ball
Goose
game.
Gossage, right? So I love Goose. He's one of the funniest guys I've ever met. And he said
He could
could've-
drink beer, right?
He can drink beer, but he's a funny guy. And he said he was going to play professional football. He said, but his dad told him, no, you're not playing pro football because that money's not guaranteed. You're going to take the baseball money because it's guaranteed. If you get hurt and you got a 5-year contract, they're going to pay you for 5 years. You get hurt in football after 1 year, guess what?
You're
They
done.
pay you in 1 year and you're done. So football players are now, you see where they get smarter and they want signing bonus money. They want upfront money. That's why the game is turned into what it is now because you got to pay these guys are like, they're getting smarter. They go, hold on. Every play could be my last play. So if I'm going to sign a deal, how much are you going to give me guaranteed money? You give me $10 million guaranteed, and then we'll let you spread out the rest of the 4 years, maybe $3 million a year for the next 4 years, but give me $10 million up front.
Oh my God, these numbers baffle me.
Because guess
Play
what?
sport, God bless.
After the second year, I might not be producing. What do? Cut
Done.
me, and you're done.
Tell my mom about Mahomes' contract.
Oh, this guy's a $500 million contract.
550 mil. Was it 10 years?
Yeah,
I like Mahomes.
$500 million.
right. So,
That's an investment.
but a guy like
Yeah, but,
Mahomes,
I mean,
right?
what kind of money does the franchise have to bring in?
He's going to bring in hundreds of millions, billions of dollars for the franchise. Kids love him, especially with his brother
You're
on
not gonna be able to
TikTok.
bring-
It's
yeah.
a whole big. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're
Listen,
doing, but listen, how
when
do you
you-
afford to bring your family to the games anymore when they got to pay these players this kind of money?
But you got to remember,
That's another big
sports,
argument.
Sports
It's a huge
has always
argument.
sports has always gone in that direction. Whether it was in the 20s, 30s, right? You had players that were bigger than the sport. Babe Ruth was bigger than the game. Babe Ruth was making more than than the president, right? But he's bigger than the game. So you can always afford to pay a guy like that because for every Pat Mahomes there is in the league, right? There's 18 teams, so there are 18 starting quarterbacks. How many make $50 million a year, right? You got Aaron Rodgers who's probably making
$500 million?
$40 million a year, right? Aaron Rodgers is probably making $40 million. When Eli left, he was making 22.
For 18 weeks.
You got to make sure you put those.
Ben Roethlisberger last year, as bad as he played, he made $40 million
You better
for
be
his
paying
final
those
year.
linemen a lot of money to protect him.
No,
The $500
listen,
million.
you got to remember, the league is the face of the franchise is the quarterback. So the league has gone, and that guy was saying last week about Tom Brady being, people say he's the GOAT. And I say that, I don't consider him the GOAT, but the league protects.
That was a funny segment.
The league protects the quarterback to the point where they know he's the face of the franchise. So we have to have his career longevity. You can't hit him below the knees. You can't touch him in the head. You can't. You blow wind.
You're
You
gonna
blow
change
on
the
him, and
game.
guess what? There's a flag. So the quarterback is almost untouchable. It's like playing flag football.
I wouldn't go that far now.
The quarterback is almost, when I say he's almost untouchable, because it doesn't make a difference. If you went like this to his helmet, that's a 15-yard penalty. is a quarterback that delicate that, like, hey, Chris is running full bore and he gets hit and he stumbles into the quarterback and he hits him, right by the knees. Should that really be a 15-yard penalty because he's a quarterback? Guess what? He got hit into him. He didn't do it on purpose. So, yeah, quarterbacks back in in Marino's era, Staubach's era, Fran Tarkington's era, those guys, they didn't have the same protection. They just didn't. Joe Namath, he was a great talent, right? But the hits, if you put Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, Dan Marino back in the game today, how many records would Marino have that somebody else has eclipsed?
I don't know.
Based
I would think
on
the hitting
the
is a
amount
lot
of
harder
time
now, though.
that he has in the pocket and the amount of the amount of ways that you can't touch him. Dan Marino's getting hit. He's getting hit. You go back and you look at Jim Kelly from the Buffalo, he got hit.
The problem is you got to be a mobile quarterback today. You got to be able to move.
Listen, Brady can't move. Brady can't move.
He can't move, but he could.
Brady
he
can
could grab the ball
Brady
really, really
couldn't
quick.
outrun me. Okay.
Okay,
So
let's get
if he
But,
can't,
but you
if
look
he
at
can't,
Aaron
if
Rodgers,
he can't out,
Mahomes, Josh Allen, they're all movers.
right?
You
What I'm
got to be
saying
able
is,
to move
a guy like Brady, why has he been able to stay in the league as long as
because he gets rid of the ball quick.
Because he does two things.
And
He sits back
audibles.
in the pocket, and he's got a little bit more time. Why? Because he's not getting. He knows
His
if you
line.
hit me wrong, guess what? It's 15 yards. So you have to be extra
So
careful.
wait,
It's
so
like,
you're saying that the defensive men are not coming up as strong on him?
oh
Because
no, you can't. You
no,
can't.
so you mean when the balls hike or whatever the hell they say now?
When they snap the ball,
when they snap the ball, those defenders are not going
you
for
have
him?
to. You have to be You have to be cautious. Just go look at the games. You have to be really cautious. It's like a ballerina in a bull in a
I don't
china
know.
shop.
Those guys look like they're fighting him back. I don't know.
Listen, all you have to do is you see it. Go look at a game today, and go look at a game 20 years ago.
I will have to agree with Mike
On
though.
tape.
You're looking at highlight hits.
Look at a
It
game.
doesn't always happen in the game.
Look at a game
yeah.
today,
Yeah.
and go look at a game 20 years ago, and just tell me the physicality that the quarterbacks had to deal with 20 years ago is not completely different than the physicality that the quarterbacks
Wouldn't you
deal
agree
with
that the
today.
hits are a lot harder these days than
No.
they were then?
No.
You don't think linemen and,
No.
and defenders are bigger, stronger, faster?
No.
They're definitely stronger and faster today.
Listen, Mike will tell you they don't hit the way that they used to hit. And you know why? I think
Oh,
it's
because
it's,
of the
I think
rules?
it's more of
Targeting
you're
and-
trying to protect the safety of the individuals playing the game.
You're trying to
today.
protect the owner's money.
Not the owner's money, but you're
It's
trying
insurance.
to protect the. Listen, I met Dan.
You don't want players getting hurt.
I met
all
Dan-
the time
You don't want
anyway,
players getting hurt, but
Because
when
if you're
you're
a kid, your dad takes you to one game, you want to go see Brady. If Brady's hurt, you're not at the game.
Yeah.
You're
Some
disappointed.
backups, but
Listen,
yeah.
I
You
met
can't charge the
Dan.
people
The
as
NBA,
much?
the NBA had a huge problem with that 2 years ago or 3 years ago before COVID. Some players just weren't playing some nights, and kids were going to the game like, I want to go see Curry play. I
Yeah.
want to go see this guy.
And so
play.
the
It's such a
commissioner now they
business
want to
now.
fine you if you because listen,
They should
kids,
fine them.
people buy tickets based on who's
Yes.
playing.
Yeah, like
But what I'm saying is that when you look at the way that the game is structured today, the game is structured to try and keep these guys on the field as long as they can. So
It's
you
all
don't
about
want
the
anybody
money.
getting hit
It's
as
all about the
hard.
money.
It's all
It's
about
a
the
business.
money. It's a business.
But back in that day,
Save my
back in the day,
500
but,
million.
but even for the players, it's a business too.
Oh yeah,
Some
there's,
guys
well listen,
want
there's no
their money.
loyalty either. Years ago, there was guys had loyalty to their team, their fans. They don't
Yeah, no,
care
it's
now.
different now.
They're going where the money's going.
completely different.
but I think it's always.
I follow a bunch of kids from like all over, from like Nikolai's friends to his friends from high school who are at Georgia, Penn State. All the friends are posting, "Go get paid, bro. Go get paid, bro." It's all about the money
It's
now.
all about the money. Well, but that goes back to when they were talking about, and
But-
I don't
but
like that. And then a
rightfully so.
coach said it. And look at the Clemson lineup. The kids that were going to the draft opted out for playing in their college games. If I were a
Yeah,
coach or a
that's-
recruiter,
yeah,
I would
that's-
not
that's the
take
difference,
those
yeah.
kids.
No, that's
Different
but
scenario.
that's
Who were they?
that's-
Who the
no,
heck
but
are they?
that's
They're
wrong.
prima donna.
But that's
I think they're
wrong.
wrong.
No,
And
it's
we
wrong
were talking,
as
and
a.
Jose said, "Well, if I would get drafted, I wouldn't play." No,
Guess what? No,
you
it's
go
wrong.
fight for your team.
No, it's wrong.
I see
It's-
both sides.
It's
No,
wrong
so
for a.
You-
It's
I don't want that
wrong.
kid.
Because if you get hurt that game, then you're at your
I don't
town
want
bar
that
telling
kid.
stories for the rest of
Okay,
your
I
so
don't
here,
want that kid.
I'm gonna give you the
you would have probably
scenario.
gotten hurt in the first game of the.
I'm gonna give you the scenario.
That's different. You might as well
Jalen
get-
Smith, right? Notre
Yeah.
Dame, projected first round, #1 pick, plays in the Notre Dame bowl game, tears his ACL. Guess what? Jalen Brown doesn't get drafted till the 3rd round. He never recouped the money that he got. Never be the same player that he was.
So, yeah, so
So
in
here-
his
here-
defense,
so
your
here's what I'm
whole
gonna
life
say.
is now changed.
Here's what I'm going to say. I would say if I had a son and he had a chance to play in the championship game, and I knew he was going to be a projected first round draft choice, here's the decision you got to make. You can go play in that game. If you get injured,
No, we've had this talk before.
kiss your
yeah.
dream
The-
goodbye.
The,
I know,
champion,
it's
the championship game is different. I play that game.
I wouldn't.
But for a bowl game, I'm not playing a bowl,
Bowl
game.
game's different.
It's stupid.
Listen, I wouldn't do
yeah,
it.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true.
A
I
bowl
agree with you.
game.
But look at Trevor Lawrence. He never came out.
Trevor Lawrence, listen, Trevor Lawrence was going to get picked no matter what because of what he did prior.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if he got hurt,
What he
I
did
don't
prior,
know.
his prior
he never lost a
accomplishments-
game ever.
Right. So his prior
Ever.
accomplishments,
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. But listen,
How
if
long are we on this?
We this camera's about to have a heart attack. So
if
Okay, because
if
it's too long for the podcast.
yeah.
oh yeah, I mean you can cut it. We can always cut
Well,
it
our
out.
Facebook page is growing, so we cut things into segments now. So
Right. So what I'm saying is though, if I asked Plaxis the same thing. I said if your son has a chance to be a first round draft choice, and there's a bowl game.
A bowl game, no.
No, but what I'm saying, bowl game or championship game, are you playing? Are you playing,
Championship's
or are
a
you
tough
going to
call.
say, hey, you know what? Guess what? If I don't
There's no
play
I in
the
team.
game, hold on. If I don't play in the game, right, and I'm a first round draft choice, and my life changes, I can help some of my brothers that are on that field that don't ever get a chance to play in the NFL. Because of what I was able to get monetarily, I could help more people out. But if I go in there and I play and I get hurt, guess what?
Well,
I
that's
can't help anybody. I can't. And think about it. When you're
Listen,
doing
that,
it, who you
that,
help out? Your
but
family.
that's a way to justify it. Yes, but
It's family.
your
You're trying
family's
to-
on that field.
No, but hold on. Your family is who you're trying to go to the NFL to
Yeah,
support.
no, listen, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying there was a mentality change in this. That was never. That
'Cause the
was
money's too
never a
big. The
thing.
money's different,
right,
yeah.
and that skewed people.
Listen, what was his name? Portis from the U. When he played in what
think
was
of
a,
Poyer.
Portis.
Yeah, okay.
Clinton Portis, and he tore his ACL. He tore it. Guess what? Everybody said, "Why are you doing it? Don't play." Listen, I'll give you a better one. Chubb, right? From
Nick
Georgia.
Chubb.
Nick Chubb. Rodney
Yeah,
Hampton.
that's a good one.
Tells me he goes down. They're getting ready to play in a bowl game. I don't know if it was bowl game or championship game. He tells Nick Chubb, "Don't play in the game. You've proved everything you need to prove. Do not play in the game. There's no upside. There's no upside. The only thing that can happen is
Risk
downside.
and reward, yeah.
Right? There's downside. You get hurt, you're not going where. Guess what? He goes in, gets hurt. He's not drafted where he was projected. He said you can never recoup that money that you first round draft
And that's
choice.
his whole life too.
But,
correct.
yeah, if it all dwindles down to that, yes. But so, what do you say to a high school kid, right, who may get an offer to Notre Dame, beginning of his senior year? I
He's
won't
high
play.
school.
That's different. That's high school.
He's high
though.
school.
But
Because he's
don't
got to go
play.
through.
That's so
Because
different.
he's
Your
high
offer
school.
may go
he's got-
away.
Wow, that's
he's
so
high
different.
school. He's got to go from
That's what-
high
that's what
school
I'm saying.
to college to pros. Once
not
you've
talking
gone-
about the pro. I'm
no,
saying,
but what I'm
but
saying
where does
is
it end?
You're
No, but
neglecting
where does it
the
end?
phases. The phases are so different.
What I'm gonna
From
say is
high
this.
school to college, then college to the NFL.
No, I'm not saying it. Suppose the kid's not going to NFL, but he's got a chance to play at Notre Dame. Why would
Okay,
you risk
different-
getting hurt? You're halfway through
Different
your
scenarios.
senior.
Sometimes
A
if
full
you're in
ride
high
to
school, you
Notre
get
Dame.
hurt. Sometimes the school works with you, depending on the
Sometimes they don't.
severity of your injury. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes
Right.
they do.
So if you're
Depends
going to
on
get
the
a
player.
full ride to Notre Dame, which is a $400,000
Okay.
rate, we're going to talk money, $400,000 education or less, $350.
Whatever it is.
would you say to the kid, you know what though? I don't know if I'd play your second half of senior year. Why would why risk getting hurt?
He might lose a spot. I mean, that's a whole.
But you also got to
That's true,
remember
that's
when
so
Notre
true.
Dame offers out scholarships, they didn't just offer that one scholarship that one quarterback there.
Yeah.
Guess
We have
what?
17 pending.
Right.
But it's a
So
free education.
but they all sit back and they go like this. Your scholarship depends on how you play and what you do once you get there. If you get there and they figure that, hey, Chris isn't working out, guess what? You cut your scholarship. So yes, you didn't play. You want to go to high school and you don't want to play in the championship game because I'm going to go to Notre Dame. But guess what? You're in high school, right? That's high school. You don't get paid to play anyway. You don't get paid to play in college. But when you're transitioning from I'm going to college and now the next level is I get paid to play. Now, either I play in this game here or I know I got this guaranteed money because I'm a first-round draft pick here. Now, if somebody tells you that you're a second, third, fourth-round draft pick, you may take a chance and say, I might raise my value by playing and I might highlight myself out there and do something that somebody else might notice. I might move up in the draft. But if you're a number one draft, listen, Christian McCaffrey, his dad played in the NFL. When Stanford played in their bowl game and everybody said, well, is McCaffrey playing? You know what his dad said? No, he's not playing. He'll be there and he'll root. He'll root for everybody. But if he gets hurt, he's a projected first-round draft choice.
I get that.
Listen, so this camera's out because this SD card has 17 million
we did an
podcasts
hour
on
and a
it.
half. We
So-
did an hour and a half.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
We're good.
Episode concluded. That was a good one, right, Mama?
Yeah,
Nice.
But listen,
Fridays with Phil.